Good morning, Arium. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Council of Elders, episode 7 is in session. A special episode today because we have the one and only Tyrael leading today's episode with me. Tyrael, how are you doing, buddy?
Good, brother. Yourself?
I'm doing amazing, if not a little stressed from IRL work, but it's okay. That is life. I'm excited to be here with you, the amazing Szerro, the amazing Ruygye, and of course, everyone knows Kinan. How is everybody doing? Szerro, Ruygye, Kinan, how are you guys?
Good.
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I love that Kinan brought his pet frog.
Did you really?
yeah.
Ooh.
To be honest.
Where's that pet frog?
To be honest, it wasn't seen. I need it now.
Yeah, where's that pet
That's
frog?
gonna be a crowd favorite. We need to get him back.
Man, I'm a little bummed out.
Yeah,
I didn't see
yeah.
the frog.
Bring that froggo back. I didn't see it either.
I am getting him. I am getting him.
He's summoning his brother to bring his frog to him.
Hashtag ban Bilbo.
Hashtag Bill.
You can see it even. I'm not sure because not watching the stream right now on the second.
No,
Huh?
little
Oh,
little
for a
lower,
second.
little lower,
News.
little lower. There it is. Oh my
Man, I was
gosh.
expecting like a bullfrog, like an actual.
That's
like
what
a
I
toad or
expected.
something.
Oh my God. Please throw the frog at Kinan. All right.
Nikolai says he's got an important question. I wonder what that
Ooh,
is.
Nikolai has an important question. Right off the bat with
Is
the
he?
questions. What's the important question, Nikolai? Oh, it's
Oh,
for
it's a question
Bilbo.
for Bilbo. It's not for us.
Bilbo's
All
not
right.
even
Oh,
here.
he can ask. He can ask. I am asking as Bil. I am answering as Bilbo.
You're answering as Bilbo. All right, we got a new mayor of Port Wynn, everybody. A new mayor.
Yeah, I'm
of
not sure that
Port
that was a
Wynn.
fair election in the first place. I've heard a lot of rumors about unilateral, appointing of positions. I'm not sure that it was necessarily fair election.
I mean, it
But
seems.
the blockchain doesn't lie.
Yeah, that's
The
kind of what I'm
blockchain-
thinking.
the
It's as
blockchain
fair as
doesn't
it could
lie.
be. He was there first.
It's just like the old times, dude. You get there, you stick your flag in it, and then you defend your turf until someone else takes it, I guess, huh? This is
Yeah.
like medieval stuff, dude.
That's
Maybe that'll.
that's true. Very true. I am distracted by this frog. If anyone else, I don't know if anyone else is, but
It's been pretty great.
No, yeah, he's great.
all right. Let's hop into today's episode. The content that we have is really, as you all know, classes came out. We've got a whole bunch of new content in the game. Unity has been out for a month now. So taking a look back at that release, I think we've learned a lot this last month. And I know from Ruygye, Szerro, and obviously you, Tyrael, and then Kinan, you're kind of the community voice here. There's a lot of experiences that came along with Unity Port, and of course with classes now the last couple weeks. But this really is just a conversation about the future of crypto raiders and all of that I just mentioned. So let's just hop right into it. Tyrael, let's just get your opening thoughts on the release of Unity the last month, how much we learned from that, and then the release and launch of classes, which was super exciting.
Yeah, man. Starting with Unity, that was a huge move forward for crypto raiders to get Unity out. Something that the team has been working on for 6-7 months. Heads down. Really, really glad that we got it out. We weren't super excited about some of the bug issues that we had at launch. It took a little bit longer than we would have liked to get the desktop clients out. And we know that some users had some issues initially, but we've made a big rounds over the past few weeks on improving a lot of those issues that were present on launch. Like the ability to reconnect to dungeons if you do run into an issue. We were just looking at our Sentry account that logs all crashes and issues, and that they've been drastically reduced by 99%. There's only occasional issues that we're seeing these crashes coming up on, which is great.
Yeah.
In the future, as we continue to grow, adding additional servers, that way our friends in all the parts of the world are able to easily connect, and they don't have the same lag issues. That's one thing that is coming up right now, is because our servers are based in central US, if you're playing from Turkey, let's say, or you're playing from the other side of the world, you can see how that latency, right, starts to kick up. So
Mm.
all things that we've been looking at and will improve. But I think that the launch, getting that out, is awesome. Being able to download a desktop client, open up the Crypto Raiders game is amazing. And then also just looking forward towards the mobile builds. Made a lot of strides on the APK build, and reformatting that towards a format that makes sense for mobile. Obviously, there's a lot of UI things and stuff that needed to be adjusted on that end. And then we submitted our application for Apple Test Flight, so that way we can get on to iOS. And that'll be, really
That'd be huge.
scoping all of the users, right? We
Yeah.
got the Mac build, we got Windows, we've got WebGL, and then we've got the mobile builds out, which is great. Yeah, classes was awesome to get out, man. Really, really excited about that release. The one thing that is tough about classes is we only released one tier of the classes, right?
Mhm.
So being that we're only one tier into the classes, and obviously there tends to be a very deep tree, all the classes are kind of at a different place in their development, right? Like some raiders tier 1 talents may be much more impactful than other tier 1 talents, right? Like, so for example, what are the big ones, like druid OP right now, right? Where people are feeling like, hey, wizard maybe is a little underpowered. But as
Mhm.
that tree goes deeper, right, a lot of those characters start to make a lot more sense. Like wizard will slap, guaranteed wizard will slap. It just takes a little bit of time for that
Yeah.
tree to get a little deeper. So it's a good step in the first direction. We've been working really hard on the tier 2 talents. The team is on the game design side has just been really humming, doing a ton of work behind the scenes, on improving the game and coming out with some new features that we're really stoked about. But yeah, man, I think overall the class release has been a great first step
Hmm.
towards implementing some deeper gameplay. And as we expand into that tier 2 tree, it gets even cooler. Dude, the knight and the paladin are cool ass classes. The game design team did a really great job. The paladin is one of my favorite. How the paladin kind of floats between two different sides, whether he's holy or he's corrupted, and they get access to different parts of the talent tree based on which direction they're going, holy or corrupted. And it's this
Mm.
like balance that you kind of have to like keep the character in. So maybe you ride the middle and you don't really like tap into the deeper parts of the tree of either one, or maybe you're like full blown corrupted or full blown holy, right? It's a really fun character energy dynamic that I haven't really seen yet. I think the community is going to be really fired up about. Zero could probably talk a lot more in depth about it than I can.
Yeah, it's almost like it's in a way it's like you're playing two different characters, right? And then depending on how you play out that one game, you'll change between the two different forms that you have, and you'll get access to a whole different type of class. Or maybe you decide like, hey, I want my paladin to like only want to go dark mode. So your paladin will exclusively cast dark spells, and they'll only be spec'd into those spells. Or maybe you'll want to be like the hybrid, and you'll be switching between the two, and that'll give you a lot more of the utility that you're looking for. I'm stoked to see people get to play with those, but it's kind of like what you're saying though. You still only get that when we only start with that first tree. You really don't get the full identity of the class, and when you're looking at the paladin, whose identity is split in half, you're really not gonna be able to fully feel what the paladin can do until they're 3, 4, maybe 5 branches in, because then they'll start really getting access to a lot of the things. And that's kind of what's happening with the mage too, right? Because a lot of people are feeling like the mage is feeling a little bit weak. The what is it? The silence spell that the
Yep.
mage has in the altercation tree. I mean, it in a 1v1 scenario, that spell does not feel very great. But in a multiplayer scenario, when you're able to lock somebody down, like imagine you're playing a game where there's a mage on the other team. There are two mages on each side of the field. The first mage to silence the other mage gets a huge edge on that other mage in that kind of battle. It's just there aren't enough spells for the mages to cast for you to really feel the impact of that yet.
Yeah, exactly. And as we get deeper into the tree, that can change really quickly, right? And that's another thing, kind of like, about like we've talked a little bit about this internally, and something we're working on is just the overall like XP ramp, right, for Raiders. Like right now, like, we're 1 year into the game, and Raiders are at like level 10, right? And they have access to like, one tier of talents. That doesn't feel like a proper RPG like scaling, right?
Mm.
Once we can get that stat, rework into the game, we can look at this XP ramp, and we're building out these talents so that the tiers get deeper. We can make some adjustments so that the leveling system makes a lot more sense for Raiders. They have access to a lot more talents, right? And the talent tree is deeper, so it's impactful. At 4 or 5 tiers deep, it's going to start to feel very flavorful and unique, with some of these characters. So I feel like we're making a lot of great strides on that side of the game design. And then looking at the other side, is also like the MMO elements, right? The overworld, the fishing, the crafting, right? The gathering, all of that
Let's
stuff
go.
that really makes it feel like a real MMORPG, right? And we've been having some great discussions about all of those topics. We've had some like very heated fishing conversations. We have some very passionate fishers on the team, and everybody has their vision, that they want, implemented. And it's great because we're all coming together and having these debates and taking these good ideas and making a really cool fishing experience that the community is going to be, really stoked about, man. Ben, you want to talk a little bit about some of the fishing stuff?
Yeah, we are like, from the game design standpoint, we're just in the finalization aspect of it. We have had this ready for some time now at its current point. I'm actually was just before this was working on getting the final dev implementation sheet over. But it's going to be a really fun experience where you dip your toes in the water of fishing. Not actually dipping your toes in the water, but it sure will feel like it. Because Ken is, just our master of arts, and he's doing a great job crafting this immersive experience into the world of crypto raiders, where you can fish with your friends, and you'll definitely be using those fish for other things besides just catching them. And then I also, for my tournament people who aren't PvPers, win tournaments for fishing, right?
Fishing tournaments.
So
Let's go.
want to also introduce a leaderboard based off of weight and size of fish. So
Yeah, that's
there's
gonna
lots
be-
of
Dude, that's
really
gonna be
exciting
hype.
things.
That's
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
be
super
sweet,
stoked.
dude. Yeah, and
I might even make another Discord so I can secretly join those tournaments.
Judge?
Judge.
Why is this guy never on mic, dude? He talks a lot like Ruygye, but he's just never there.
Dude, he shit talks just like Ruygye does, but
We'll recognize you by the when you post a GIF and then you just immediately delete it out of Discord. You'll post like a very naughty GIF, and then you just delete it out real quick. But yeah, dude, fishing's gonna be a lot of fun. Having basically a few different instances, that players can go into. Like the fishing dock in Portland, or the pond in Portland, or the lake near Portland, right? And then having unique fish per location, right? And you have to have different fishing level to access different points, different instances, and it's going to be a very full and complete
yeah.
fishing mini game.
Another thing I'll say about fishing is it's a cool jumping grounds for us, because it's gonna be our first situation where we're actually going into the MMORPG aspect of skilling. Where we had alchemy and we had herbalism, we still have those, but those are very passive skills. Those are going to be our first active skill. It's going to follow an XP ramp, or we're gonna tweak the XP ramp so that it makes sense. Something reminiscent of RuneScape or other MMORPGs, where you have this sense of progression, and you get those dopamine hits, like what you're trying to go for, and you're hitting it as often as you can. We want players to be immersed in this, and we want you to feel like you have goals to move towards.
No, that's gonna be so awesome.
Man.
One thing I wanted to say as we were talking about classes is, and this is something that just, I don't want to say I was surprised by, but I feel like it could have been very easy to create classes that were just good within the game that we currently have. And what I mean by that is that a druid obviously can heal himself. So right now, right, he's the most powerful, right? But like wizard and rogue, maybe not as powerful right now. But once we get to like the actual MMO aspect and we have multiple parties and all of that is in play, like all those aspects of an MMORPG are going to come in to fruition, and we're not going to have to do anything about it. It's just going to happen. You know what I mean? And I love that you guys started building that way right off the bat, instead of just let's build a bunch of classes that can compete and rock paper scissors kind of deal, right? Like, no, you guys got right into building classes that maybe can't compete right now, but that doesn't matter. It's not right now. We're not caring about right now. We're caring about the future. And for me, that's what really shined for me, is the fact that you guys are building it that way. And yeah, go ahead, Szerro.
A lot of the skills, not all of them, of course, but a lot of them are pretty forward-looking as well. Like if you look at the Druid's heal spell, like that spell is allowed to target other raiders, other allies. The what is it? The howl on the barbarian. That's a global effect. It's not just targeting one enemy. It's targeting the whole enemy team. It's targeting the whole ally team. Like a lot of these abilities are made looking forward to the multiplayer scenarios that we're looking to get.
Yeah, and that's another cool challenge that we have on this team, right? Is that we're live shipping something, and so we're trying to keep our players invested time wise. We want you all to have fun. We want to have fun while we're doing it too, but we're also trying to make sure that every step is a progression forward for the long term vision of 1 year, of 2 years. Hosting more than the players that we have now, because ultimately that's the goal, right? We want to share the love of Crypto Raiders with thousands of other concurrent players.
Yeah, just talking about like dungeons, specifically, we were talking about earlier today on a game design call. Hey, what are the current systems that we want to improve? What are the future systems that we want to build, right? And what are things that just overall need polish and just downright improvement, right? And speaking on like dungeons and like the multiplayer experience, right? That was one of the top things that came out. Multi raider encounters, multiple boss encounters, random boss encounters that come up, spontaneous ones, right? Self movement, things that make that dungeon experience just feel much more complete, like a true MMORPG, and like Ben said, that's one of the fun challenges about Crypto Raiders, right? Is keeping the content going and keeping the community and players engaged, while also looking to build a game that we're really excited about, with the final product in a year. So
yeah, the fact that we're like constantly live shipping things, we've been building Crypto Raiders for like a year now, and I heard a statistic earlier in the week. I read somewhere that the average RPG takes 6 years of development before it's able to come out. The average MMORPG, which I thought, when I heard that, to me that was just amazing to think that 6 years is quite a long time to just be building something behind the scenes without showing anybody anything.
Yeah, I mean, just there's a lot of work that goes into building a game, right? Between developers, game designers, artists, a marketing team to get people excited about the game, right? There's so many different factors that go into it, and I think that's something that when you get into anything in life, right, there's always a little bit more depth and a lot more to it than people see on the surface level, right? Um, so yeah, man, I think we're doing a good job, building towards a product that we're really excited about, and building towards the Crypto Raiders of the future, and that's where we've made some of those organizational shifts that we've made over the past several months, right? Like step one was stepping back and let's do a longer development cycle, and focus on hitting larger content goals that progress the game forward, as opposed to being worried about hitting a weekly update that has like marginal impact on the player base, right? That's kind of step one. Step two is like hiring more devs, right? We're bringing on a substantial number of additional dev resources. Shifting Adam and Ben into game design, and solely focusing on that and driving that part forward, right? Hiring more artists, like all these things that we're doing to, scale the game. I think we're making a lot of those moves in a good measured way.
Yeah, so I got some questions. Basically, how you think about combining two classes? Is it possible?
Like
Com-
hybrid classes.
Yeah. In some games, you can take a main class and a side class.
it's like a
Yeah, so that's something
subclass.
that Guild Wars does. I used to play that a bunch in high school. That you were able to get, you chose your primary class, and you'd be able to get a secondary and get
Yeah.
access to some of those skills. That's one option of being able to do that. I mean, we don't even have the other two classes that we're making. They're not even out yet, so it's hard to say like how we're gonna end up tackling that, or like tackling job advancement, or but there are a lot of different ways that we could go about that.
Yeah, I'll say I'd be more inclined to introduce aspects that allow you to promote your own flavor on a class than to introduce necessarily like a dual classing system. But I'm totally with you. Like, I agree that the player should have a lot of freedom in how they play, which is what I push for a lot in game design. Is like, like even Sathir, he was like, he was struggling with one of our game design updates, and so we actually shifted it up a little bit because he was like, I want to be like Gandalf, and so like taking that into perspective and like what does the player want to do? How do we allow the player to play the way that they want to play?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of challenges with that, but it's something that I want to be a big champion of is like letting Kinan play the way that Kinan wants to play within obviously the ground rules of the game, but I definitely don't want to take something for for no reason. We don't want to change
Yeah.
the rules to limit you without reason.
Yeah.
Well, that's like how
Also,
players like can like shift a meta, right? Is like they'll
Mhm.
find cool new unique combinations that
Yeah.
like maybe like we didn't even think of, and the community will test it and get into the weeds there and come up with really cool stuff. So I agree with that, Ben.
People pick
yeah.
up a character that's meant to like be a melee DPS, and they'll build them like a mage, and it ends up working out really well.
So basically, I used to play a game and I was doing basically everything that you don't do normally, but I was still better than all of them. So giving the freedom to test, you're gonna find out better ways to play your class. It's basically some people like to be tanky, some people just don't want to be tanky, they want just to be sneaky and killing everyone fast as possible. Not
Yeah.
everyone having the same style. So if we do like one class and one option for these people, they have to make an improvement of themselves and doing it, which isn't really that great if I want to play a game like I want of my style.
Mm.
Yeah, I think like
Yeah,
a good example is
exactly.
like a barbarian, right? So like you could have a
Yeah.
barbarian play as like a hard tank, right? Who just is about like absorbing damage and staying up, or you could play him like a bruiser, right? Like where he's really about dishing out damage
Yeah.
and really living on the edge, right? He's constantly pushing that life low and dumping rage, right? But like allowing diversity within a class is like fun. That adds a
Yeah.
lot of flavor to the game, and it keeps you guessing too in like PvP situations, because you don't like have to just guess like, okay, like what abilities is this character using, like what style of play is this guy going to be, right? Is he going to
Right.
be heavy tank? Is he going to be that
Yeah.
bruiser type?
I'm
Yeah.
not sure if you played Paladin. It's basically a game where you can take your character and doing a class, and there is like underclasses of it. Like you said, someone want to be tanky, someone want to be more like a slayer, and that's I think a great option that you could add in the future. We are looking for a feature of maybe 2-3 years. We don't have to do everything right now because I know you need to take it step by step and going forward, which everyone wants to know when is fishing.
When fishing. So I think our next big content release will be late Q3, early Q4.
Yeah.
We wanted to push initially for early September, but looking at the overall lift that's going to go into doing a really cool experience, something that we're going to be really happy about, the community's going to be really happy about. Just going to take a little bit longer than we initially intended, and
Yeah.
our way of thinking internally is more of like, let's do things right and let's do it right the first time and let's build
Yeah,
something of quality, right? Like let's take a little bit more time and let's
yeah.
do a banging job, something that we're all really proud of. Because I
So
think that uh, getting into this like rush mentality doesn't do anybody any favors,
yeah.
So are you
So
thinking that
basically, I
we
had also.
go ahead, Keenan?
Oh, Lang, you can go. Oh, you can.
Yeah, you can go, Keenan.
So basically, I had also a lot of talks with lately some big companies, and I have learned one lesson from them. Basically, there is deadlines, and no one is gonna get it. Deadlines are there to get breaking of them. Of course, you could try your best to seek to get it finished, but most likely you don't have. You want to put the product one time out, and being able to everyone have like a play. That's why I don't understand why people are rushing right now that you have to do it few months ago. They want a product that is good of quality, but they don't want to wait for
Oh,
it.
wait,
I don't understand some of
impatience.
them. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I mean, it's kind of like just the way that everything runs in today's world, right? Like
yeah,
yeah.
things are just like
Instant
fast, fast,
gratification.
fast, and instant. Yeah,
Yeah,
and like Zero said, the average MMORPG is, what, under development for like 6 years before they come
yeah,
to market, right? And it's just a different um, type of like model that
yeah,
we've pursued here, and that's totally fine, and we're
yeah,
here to build and through the long term, and we're here to absorb the criticism and the praise and whatever
yeah,
comes with it, and long term it's just about building a badass game that's going to have some very unique flavor that makes it stand out from other games. It doesn't
yeah,
just feel like I'm playing some cookie cutter MMO. You could whip something up in a month or two, I guess, that's going to be like a copy of another game, right? But who
yeah.
wants to do it? Who wants to do that? No unique flavor.
And
Nothing.
also, if we look into the big games like World of Warcraft, when it went out, it had a lot of bugs, and they took like, if I don't remember myself wrong, they took almost 2 years to fix these bugs. And if we look now, we had a bug lately with Unity, and it got fixed in 2 weeks, maybe three. I'm not sure about the date, but
Yeah.
we can see that the team is working on getting improvement. And I don't understand, like people today, I was reading the chat and I got like someone who is not being happy of getting 1.7% per month if he is taking his traders. And in my opinion, that's a pretty great return on investment. If you go to any bank, you get like 1-2% maximum. And if you do it for once month, and then it's an investment that's improving, not just like fiat, it's gonna down, it's gonna up.
yep.
And that's what I don't understand of people. They are looking at everything like a crypto stuff that's a DeFi project who is launching and going to moon probably and dying after 2 months. But this project is about a game, a long-term plan system.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this guy's preaching right here.
I think you brought up a lot of good points, Keenan. About like the hype cycle has kind of like
Yeah,
infected a lot of people's minds and the way that they view things. At the end of the day, we've always been really consistent about our number one goal is to build a game, a fun game that's gonna get people excited and that's gonna last over time. And it's something that's gonna
yeah,
take us time to build. And that's why when we minted, man, like we minted characters at like very low prices. ETH
yeah,
was at like $1,600, $1,700. We minted the Raiders, Gen 1 Raiders at 0.015 to 0.03. It was
yeah,
very low mint cost. We didn't raise, absurd amounts of money on the
yeah,
NFT minting.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, man, like it's always just been about building the game, and touching on, the long term goals. That's
yeah.
where it's like if we can build a great game, 60,000 raiders isn't like a crazy number.
Yeah.
If we only have 50,000, 60,000 players, this game's probably like not that huge of a
Yeah,
success. We want
I
this to be
don't think
massive.
that the play is a problem. And more, the problem was like we getting in the beer market, more people are leaving the space, and we just stand by with a lot of supply, but not like im improving of the community. It's not of your side. It's just about beer market, and everyone is scared of it and just leaving. It's basic human, and I want to let everyone know who want to unstake and sell his radar. DM me, you. I'm gonna do a a TC deal with you, no matter how many radar tokens you got. Just DM me, and I'm gonna dump it to you on $10. Promise.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think that the hype cycles are like they're tough, dude. You know, because
Yeah.
it affects people's perception of the game, right? But really,
Yeah.
it's just about the game. You know, the tokens go left, right, up, down, whatever
Yeah.
way they go. It's not something that we focus on. You know, we focus on the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, like long term, you know,
Yeah.
people are gonna these cycles. People are gonna come and go. That's part of life.
Yeah,
But I
basically
still look
every
at
hype got a second time, so it's not gonna like one time is gonna have a hype, it's gonna be a second, third, fourth time. You're just gonna be stay and be early and focusing on the right stuff, not just going around and trying to get every hype with it. Just build yourself in one project
Mhm.
or maybe one sector, like play to game, play and earn. Not sure how you want to
Yeah.
call
yeah.
it. I think it
I
was
think
play and earn.
play to own, you know, is a much like
Yeah.
stronger language. You know, play to earn comes off very like, you know,
I-
just it's not a sustainable,
Yeah.
you know, model of things.
My
You
favorite
know,
is
Yeah.
play for fun.
play for fun.
Play
There
for
it
fun.
is.
So
Play to
basically
play.
what
Game's gotta be fun
Yeah.
first.
So what I think is wrong is people are just coming, getting the hype or trying to get the hype, losing their entire money, leaving the space and saying, fuck it, that was a mistake. I'm
sir.
not gonna come anymore. Oh, okay.
I'm just
Sorry.
kidding.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like what's really unique about like, you know, Web3 gaming are those Web3 elements, right? Where you're able to lean into the personal ownership and you're able to fund things that you just can't do in a normal game, right? So like, well, you know, a fun thing that we were
Yeah.
talking about the other day are guilds, right? And like, how could we have guilds be a lot more, you know, fun and robust and
Yeah.
something that people are excited about, you know? And what if people had the ability to like, you know, basically their guild could like fight for a certain location on the map. They dominate those resources. They basically own them. They're able to sell them
Yeah.
to other players. The only way you could like get, you know, this resources from this guild maybe. But then what if like another guild comes in and like takes out that guild and then
Yeah.
now they run the joint and you could create these like whole like guild cartels that just like run, you know, segments of the economy, right?
Yeah.
It like it could be really, really fun and unique. And the players could own all of those assets themselves and it's independently determined, not, you know, not by us, right? That's really fun. Things that really
That's
Web3
exciting.
enable.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
exciting. Like, I mean, when the reason I even got into crypto raiders when I was doing my research was the fact that we could have an MMORPG where we own everything, right? Pretty much everything, and that's so exciting. I mean, think about any kind of aspect of a game, MMORPG, whatever element within that game, and that could be an owned asset. Like, that's just mind-boggling almost.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I need to be honest. I started Crypto Raiders. First time I wasn't really looking to it. I just aped in. That was
You
the
just aped
first
in?
exit I did. Yeah.
Love it.
And it was, I think I got tokens at 10 cent or 8 cent, 9 cent around it. So it was really a good time to buy. And I just thought, why not? The project has potential. I didn't done my research. I just looked down what you have read the last announcement and just bought in. And then afterward, my research, and I think that was the right decision.
I'd say
I always
Because-
knew I always knew you were a true DJ and Keen. You know, I always
Yeah.
do it.
Oh yeah.
That's how I got like 8 moon turtles or whatever, you know, and I'm still got them. I just saw a call, just like, yeah, just buy 10 of these things. Fuck it.
Yeah.
You know?
You all got your moon turtles, and like a week later, I was like, I felt the FOMO because you all had them. I got my moon turtle, and I was like, what am I doing with this?
Yeah, you made a good call there.
This is
To,
the best
Be
decision I've
happy
ever
you
made.
didn't got a moon peep.
What? A
Dude,
moon peep?
I've been eyeing a moonbird.
Yeah, I had them.
moonbird.
I had them, and I lost a lot.
I've been eyeing a moonbird, man. I think they're
What are they at
cool
right
as
now?
hell.
No, it was
Eight-
a moon pipis. It was a
18.5 or
collection.
something.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
I thought you
crazy.
said moonbirds. Yeah, I love moonbirds, but
I know. You kind of hate me because I told you don't to buy.
Keenan was like, don't buy a moonbird at like 10 ETH. I was like, I don't know,
No,
man.
it was 15, right?
It was
Or-
15. Yeah, it was 15. It's
Yeah.
all good. It's like marginally more expensive in
Yeah,
return.
you'd only be up 3.
I'd tease it.
now.
Yeah.
No,
I
he
just like
wouldn't
to
be
tease
up, to
Keaton,
be
dude.
honest. He is still down because he want to buy it at 3K Ethereum price, so he would be down right now.
Oh man,
Hmm.
don't put it in those terms,
All
dude.
right.
Just
He
put
does
it in
eat.
ETH terms,
I
man.
do.
So there was a
Ye-
question in chat. And I kind of want to hit this question because we're
Yeah.
about 15 minutes, 20 minutes out or so to the end of the show. But I know classes just came out. But have you guys been thinking? Just let's throw some spitball ideas out there. What other classes have you guys been thinking about, or if any?
Well, we have the knight and the paladin that
Mhm.
we're still looking at.
Beyond
And
those,
that's what
anything beyond those?
So, what's kind of halting any progression in other ones is, first of all, we want to make sure these 6 come out
Mhm.
out of the gate doing well. The other thing is that they're a combo of the primary stats. In the stat rework, the primary stats are going to remain. There's going to be 3 primaries and 3 secondaries. Most of the names are changing to reflect a little bit better of the job that they do. But the reason I mentioned the stat rework is because those 3 primary stats remaining, classes are a combo. They're either a pure of one of the primary stats, or they're a combo. So there are no other combos that exist with just 2. That doesn't mean that others can't exist, but it would take some figuring out into how that would be possible. That said, I would love to see a bard in the game. That doesn't mean we will see one, but we'll have to determine based off of like what makes sense, right?
Yeah, and this is don't take any of what I'm saying here for gospel at all. But one of the things that I was thinking of that could potentially be a way that we can go and further introduce classes would be some form of type of job advancement. So, with if you look at like the mage and the barbarian, they're not exactly opposites, but they're pretty close to opposites. A mage doesn't really like to do what a barbarian does, and mages are usually very smart. Barbarians are usually kind of dumb. But they kind of have that opposite thing going on. So what happens when you combine the two? Well, maybe if a barbarian becomes a mage, they become like a blood knight kind of thing, where they go in and they're doing like hemomancy, and they're very reckless and very aggressive. And maybe something like the mage going into a barbarian form, maybe they're like an actual blood mage. And maybe something like a druid combining with, I don't know if a druid and a knight would spawn something like a bard, but there are ways that you can go about doing those types of things. But it's just, don't take any of that as gospel. It's still, if we do something like that, it'd be very far out. Anyway, we still have 2 classes that need to come out still. We have multiple trees of those classes that still need to come out, and a
Yeah.
ton can change in between.
Yeah, one of my favorite builds on the mage in Diablo 3 was that like melee mage that you could do, and you made the mage super tanky, and you would teleport into mobs and blow them up, and then you would cast your other spells, just dump damage really hard. So it felt almost, it was like a tanky like melee type of mage, you know. So like I think there's ways that we can like dive into these different play styles through the skill tree, right? And you don't have to have like tons and tons of classes per se,
Right.
right? There's like these subclasses where a barbarian is a tank, maybe, but then maybe he's a bruiser, or like that melee mage type of look. And then one thing that's also important to keep into mind as well is, you know, as we expand into multiplayer, experiences, the classes are going to interact together and synergize in ways that are going to also like play off of each other and enhance and have, their own strengths and weaknesses. That gives it also that more flavor and depth too. So I think there's a few ways that you can kind of accentuate some of these differences. Like Ben said it earlier in the episode, it's just all about letting players have choices and do fun things with the characters.
Yeah.
And they'll explore a lot of these different combinations completely on their own, and they're going to tell us like all kinds of things that we probably never even thought of, with some of those combinations of raiders and abilities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it, to be honest. We need to do it so that people can just play their style. Not everyone is gonna be the same. As you have said, you are like playing the melee magic that I never heard of, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a weird build, dude. But I had
Yeah.
so much fun playing it. It was so much fun. Like that's another one of my like fun builds that I would play is like a bruiser type of
Yeah.
build, in games where I'm kind of like borderlining on like tank, but I'm also like just being a real DPS slut, and I'm getting in there and just laying down damage. But it's like a very risky play style. It's very high risk, high
Yeah.
reward. When it works out, it's great. When it doesn't, like I'm going 0 for 8, and like yeah, it's not going
Yeah, but
well.
I think that's the fun part of it. You had your fun because you was doing what you wanted to do. That's what
Yep.
I think that's gonna be the huge benefit of crypto raiders, because other projects are just doing it that you get one class, you can only play it, you don't have the even like you don't have the chances to play like you want. You need to play like they want. And I hate it. I never played MMORPG anymore after they ripped it off, and it was just you can choose one class. It wasn't my play style, so I stopped it. And the last game that I played in this style was like 5 years ago, because I don't believe in doing what you don't like. And my play style was pretty much weird. So I also had a damage, tank, and also a magic that healing. So I was
You're,
just a player
you're
that healed himself.
I was gonna say you're one of those guys who just heals himself and just tries to stay up forever.
Yeah, I don't
That's
trust him.
toxic, bro.
When I play a lot of different card games like Magic or Hearthstone or all different kinds of games I played in the past, I always love deck building and just building the most off the walls just strategies that people just like you sit across the table from the person and you're like multiple turns in and they have no idea what they're playing against and then they lose and they're like, what just happened? You just pull out like some ridiculous combo that makes no sense whatsoever and they're in awe and you're just like laughing as the whole thing's happening. Like that, when you're able to open up the game and allow people to build the way that they want to build and just kind of do off the beaten path kind of strategies, that's when you cater to those what is it, those are called like they're like johnnies are people that like to build their own strategies and kind of homebrew. And when you're able to do that, those types of people come up with the most interesting things.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely agree, man. That's like what adds a lot of flavor to like metas and into the community. And like when you play those guys, they just like raffle stomp you in the weirdest way. You're just like, the fuck just happened, And it makes you just like go back and you're like, I gotta like reevaluate my whole strategy of what I was just doing. This guy just blew my mind, And those are the fun moments in games. Those wow moments,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So-
basically a question I got. Oh, you can go.
No, go ahead, Keenan.
So we get now the you can choose your class, but how you want to balance it. It's basically very hard because I have seen in other games and they didn't really done it well. So I'm interested how you want to achieve this goal.
I think a lot of classes could be good at doing different things. So I think that's one of the important things is define what classes are good at doing what types of things. So like the druid's a good example of like it's a class that's defined as being able to be supporting its team. It's allowed to heal itself. It's allowed to buff its allies. So it's about coming up with just good strategies for and define types of strategies that different classes can do. And of course people can build their characters to do slightly different things and have variations, but I think you'll probably have some classes that are better at doing like certain types of PvE content, some classes that might be better in PvP, some might be better in multiplayer PvP. And that's probably I think where a lot of the balance comes from, is just different classes are good at doing different things and each one has its own kind of niche that it fills.
But how you want to do it in PvP? That's a real question.
In PvP, I think the multiplayer battles will do a lot of that. I mean, right now there's definitely a lot of, we're trying to make sure that we're bringing the mage in line, like bring the rogue in line, because they're a little weak when you look at them compared to the barbarian or the druid. So that's just a matter of just watching people play with them, see what needs help, and you help out the classes when they need help. And if something seems a little too dominant, probably need to bring that back a little bit.
Yeah.
if all classes are good at all things like PvP, then they're not really a specialization, right?
Yeah.
If you flavor them differently and they do a certain task within that thing, they're great, right? So a wizard is going to do great in PvP because they're hitting hard really fast, because they have all of their mana right off the bat. Raiders that can defend, like the knight and the paladin, will be able to tank those hits, right?
Yeah.
But a druid, but what I mean by this isn't that druid can only heal and only buff. It can definitely stand up against others in PvP, but it's definitely going to shine as a specialization when faced with others as allies, because that is the specialization, the class of the druid. Obviously, it's doing great right now, so it's definitely doing well in PvP right now. But that's an important note in gameplay, I think, is that like if it's not good at one thing and then not as great at another, then it's not really a specialization.
Yeah, I think like you mentioned earlier, Ben, like, they have to have that unique flavor. And that's part of where, like, in any MMO, you're gonna be required to have like a tank in your party. You're gonna have to have like one or two heals. You're gonna have to have like maybe one or two DPS. You're gonna want different types of DPS, right? You're gonna want somebody who maybe is like a physical damage, somebody who slaps down magic. Like you're gonna need that full comp to make a well-rounded team, right? But then, like, Ben was kind of saying, in some 1v1 situations, like, just because of the natural ways that like certain like characters would counteract each other, right? Like a barb like would probably be pretty tough against like 1v1 against a mage, because he's going to be able to get into her face and hit her quick, versus the mage is pretty light, right? So going to absorb a lot
Yeah.
of damage quickly. So I think it's just all about, like Szerro touched on, hey, monitoring things, staying in touch with the community. We have a great community testing team, and we're constantly in touch with the PvP side of things, seeing like, hey, what's the meta, how are things feeling, and we can adjust up and down.
What brings things in line in a lot of different games, it's not like the games are like perfectly balanced. It's more like different things have different counters, and it's just making sure that there are enough counters to make sure that whatever's oppressive can be brought in line. And if whatever's oppressive isn't being brought in line, you need to make sure that the counters can do what they need to do to stop it. And that's where the metagame comes from, is if you know strategy A is really good, well, then you want to play strategy B to beat strategy A. And then you can get a layer deeper and think, okay, well, I think a lot of people are going to be playing strategy B to beat strategy A, so I should play strategy C to get one step ahead. And that's where the mind games and the metagaming really comes into effect.
I think when it comes to PvP right now, like we can control that in terms of, well, this PvP tournament is only mages, or this PvP tournament is only rogues, or what have you. I mean, in long term, it's not going to be like that, of course, because we're going to have multiple abilities and stats and all of that. Class tree will be more advanced. So I mean, I think PvP right now it's just one of those caveats that we just got to deal with until we get to the point where the game is where we want it to be. With that said, we're getting near the end of the episode, but I do want to ask this question because you mentioned quarter 3, early quarter 4, Tyrael. Is that for overworld and fishing and paladin and knights, or are you thinking something else?
Yeah, paladin and knight, along with the tier 2 abilities, will probably come before the big content release. The tier 2 abilities are basically done along with the paladin and knight. It's just a matter of dev implementation.
Okay.
So we'll probably push those out before the big release. But the big release would include the overworld and fishing mini game, which would be our first dip into the multiplayer type of experience. And then the stat rework is also factored in there as well. And we'd like to get trading in as another component.
You're talking about Kinan. You talking about those hype moments? That's gonna be a hype moment.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it's not really about the project, it's about the sector. Like play and Play to Earn had its hype and it's gonna have it again. And I think, in my opinion, it's gonna be the future. In few years, maybe not now, we're gonna see a lot of people coming from the normal gaming to play to earn. Basically, I was playing LOL and I paid like 200 euros just for skins that I don't even use.
Yeah.
And it's not only in this game, it's almost in every game. And that's a
Mhm.
big problem we need to fix. And I think Play to Earn is going to fix it. And that's why I believe in this project and this whole sector of projects. I'm not only into crypto rails, I am also in other games, but they are not similar. It's more like other game style.
Yeah, you're bullish on, NFT gaming and Web3 gaming as a whole,
Yeah,
and I think that I completely agree. Something that I was, just thinking about over my vacation, and just realizing how 99% of the gaming population doesn't even know that NFT games exist. And,
yeah,
what's really going to bring those guys into it is a fun quality game that is they enjoy playing, that
yeah,
excites them. There's going to be new features. There's going to be new parts of it that get them into it. And the Web3 part is going to be like a whole other exploration inside of it that they'll get into through games, right? So
yeah,
uh, basically the on ramp would be very easy and simple for a player. Maybe it's free to play. Maybe it's a small cost up front for a character where they're able to buy an NFT and
yeah,
fiat, right? And if they want to get into the blockchain and they want to start bridging more them out, and they want to start moving materials between raiders, they can do so. But if they just want to play a very simple experience that they don't have to worry about the blockchain, they don't have to.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
But I still don't understand some points of the wall. Like I have heard lately that Steam deleted and removed every NFT game of its platform, and we can clearly see they are not going to just remove anything they don't think as a potential enemy of them.
Just a couple weeks ago,
Yet they put
also.
Honey Pop on there.
They did.
Honey Pop.
Yeah,
I need to Google it now.
Keenan's like, I gotta get
just a
some.
couple weeks ago,
Gotta
that
go ape in.
Minecraft also banned NFTs from like all their things, and all of the hate that it gets from just the people that are like they're aware of NFTs but they don't fully understand what's happening. There's this one person that I followed on YouTube and Twitter for a very long time, and this guy I respect this guy's opinion in a lot of things, but he's so bearish on NFTs and only has negative things to say. But then he'll also go and complain about like, oh dude, like he'll talk about how it's very important for people to own the physical copy of games, because if you don't own the physical copy, then at any point the company can take away the game from you. And it's like you're hating on NFTs, but you're also at the same time talking about why you
It's
want them.
contradicting
And
themselves.
it just it's so funny listening to people just
Yeah.
talk about it.
They don't.
But I don't
A
think
lot of
he's
them don't
hating
understand
NFT.
it. Yeah, they
They-
don't understand it.
They
Yeah.
look at the multi-$100,000 Bored Ape and they're like, all NFTs are a scam. I would never pay this much money for a picture of a monkey. And it's
Yeah.
like, all right, dude, you don't get it, and that's fine, but just
Don't hate.
Yeah.
give it
I
some
think
time.
Like
there's big
I
different
don't use an EpiPen because I don't have those kinds of allergies, but I'm not going to call them a scam. Just because you don't want to buy a picture of a monkey doesn't mean it's a scam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just about like any technology, right? That like is revolutionary, and it's a completely different thing. It takes time for people to understand. You can go back and you can look at like the internet and see, just draw the parallels between the blockchain and the internet, right? And like all of these technologies to get like adopted by the masses, it's not through like educating them all to the T, right? It's through making the products and experiences very seamless and easy for them to integrate and understand. And then if they want to dive deeper into them and really get into the weeds, they can, right? But like the average person doesn't even know what's going on under the hood of their car, in their computer, in anything, right? They know how to use the product because it's simple and intuitive and it makes sense and it adds value to their life, right? And it's going to be the same thing with these NFT games and NFT technology. Like it's really easy to point at like some of the hype cycles and the greed, and just shit on it. It's like easy. Like
Yeah.
who like, it's easy to feel salty as a guy who sees like somebody sell a $500,000 Bored Ape and you're like, oh dude, what did that guy do? Like, what this ape doesn't mean anything. Fuck that, and they get really upset, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets them like salty towards the underlying blockchain technology. But again, yeah, the like as the technology evolves, the products
Yeah.
evolve, things become more adoptable. This will all start to fall into place and make
But
sense
I
for
think he
gamers.
got a point because most of the NFTs that are outside Nitro gonna die. They are really nonsense. We bought all of us some NFTs. We are asking ourselves why we did it. So I got one time a big butt NFT, and I got 8 of them. Sometimes I ask myself what I'm doing, but yeah, basically NFTs are used right now just to generate money. In the future, we are gonna see the quality of the NFTs, and they are gonna stay.
Hmm.
That's he got a point. A lot of NFTs gonna die, and
Yeah.
it's fine. They have to die, so we can develop ourselves.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, you go through your OpenSea profile, and sometimes it's looking through like a broken dreams.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, these all looked really good at one time, but now not so much. Totally agree with you, Keenan.
Yeah.
It's all just part
The
of the
truth, it
evolution.
wasn't the best.
We all make mistakes.
Dude,
Absolutely.
Keenan's been studying when he's smoking that grim weed in the other room, dude. He's been putting on he's been going to the lab in there. I like it.
That's
It was
hilarious.
a good idea when we bought it in.
All right, gentlemen. Any final thoughts that you have for the future of crypto raiders, whether it's related to classes or
Yeah.
future developments, etc.?
Yeah, I just want to say one thing because I've been meaning to interject this and I just never got a chance. Earlier, Keenan had said that you could see a lot of the advancements and stuff that we're making over time. I just want to just give ourselves a bit of a pat on the back. Like the class release, I feel like that class release was like the smoothest release that we've ever done as far as any of our major releases has gone. And like I think back to when we released Olgo, and it's just like this went so smooth compared to like the Olgo release, and it's just we're slowly getting there. So I just wanted to give ourselves a bit of a pat on the back for that one.
Yeah, man, I think
Yeah.
those, like what we talked about earlier, in the call about, making some shifts in our mentality and the way we're looking at projects, the way we're looking at time horizons, and the alignments that we've made in the team, right? I think we've made a ton of strides. You can really see internally. I know the community, you could see it a little bit through a smoother class release, and I think you'll see it through more, smoother releases in the future and just more QOL improvements to the game. But the dev and game design teams are really firing on all cylinders, working together in a really cohesive way, and building towards some really fun new features that we're really excited about, man. So
Yeah.
we love the community. We would love you guys. We're excited to keep building this game and just keep growing Crypto Raiders. This is our passion. We're all so excited and fired up to work on this every day. Our game design calls and internal calls where we're discussing these things. We got guys with a ton of passion talking about these things, and a lot of hardworking, intelligent people. So very bullish on our team and the future of the game.
Yeah.
I think an important thing about that is we're all working on something that we all actually really want to play, and like this is something that we want to see really come into fruition because it's exciting.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to be duking it out with other guilds. I don't think it's appropriate if I have a guild, so I'll probably have to have some other I'll have to do a bin, dude, and make my
Yeah.
alternate ego. Yeah, but just all of those Web3 elements and the fun things that Web3 enables us to do with games. It's really special, and I think the more that we keep releasing and getting that MMO RPG out, that true feel, community's just gonna get more and more hyped, man. We've got a lot of runway. We've got time to build this. I'm excited, dude.
Yeah, I also need to add on, a lot of people are looking just short term, and I don't think that's a smart way to invest. I know people who sold their Ethereum at $20, and they are now almost crying and going after 9 to 5 jobs. just because they didn't look for the long-term potential, and that's a big problem. I see a lot of people who are like sitting on their investment and staking and think like, yeah, I'm gonna sell it, and if you sold it and it's gonna moon anytime soon. We are in a bear market, we're gonna get over to a bull market, so we just need to be patient about, and you are building it. You are not just chilling and doing nothing and just saying, yeah, it's gonna, in the bull market we are gonna do it. You are just using this time to do all the stuff and get later on. And that's what I love about crypto, is that you are just going forward, even so if you don't have to, basically.
Yeah,
Love it,
man.
dude.
Is this financial advice?
Yeah, it's a I am allowed to do a financial advice CIO.
This is not affiliated with Crypto
It's not-
Raiders. It is
Yeah,
full
not
of-
in any
full
way.
opinion of Kinan.
Keenan is not on the team.
I am on the team, trust me.
We love
False
you.
advertising.
That's
We
awesome.
love you, kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 7 of Council of Elders. It's been an absolute pleasure hosting alongside Tyrael, the one and only Matt Powell, Ruygye, Szerro, Kinan. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Well, not tuning in, but for being here and joining us and giving us your awesome knowledge. With that, let's do a quick giveaway. Dropping 2,500 Aurum to someone. Gonna drop it here in. Well, I'm gonna stop the giveaway here in 3, 2, 1. Boom. Good luck to
I would
everyone.
say Imba gonna win.
Let's see. Imba's probably gonna win. Just so y'all know. Don't hate me if he does. Here we go. 3, 2. Well, all right, I'm gonna show this so you guys all see that. Can you see it? Yeah. 65
No.
tickets. 65 tickets, 7
Oh,
entrants.
yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Ruygye, you looking good, dude.
He is leaving on the giveaway.
I'm just resting my eyes, I promise.
It's bedtime for him.
Dude, that
Butter
was,
and
that was a
bro.
legendary night. That was a legendary night,
Tons
dude.
of fun.
Ben was like, we stayed up until like, it was probably like 3 a.m. Finally finished this draft, dude. And Ben's just like, I gotta get a game in. And he like fell asleep mid like sorting his deck, dude.
For context,
Poor
the average like draft should take like 30 minutes, maybe like 45 minutes.
Oh,
We
yeah,
spent
dude.
it must have been like a clean 4.5 hours we were drafting.
Yeah, I did that draft over at the LGS, like 45 minutes. That was it. To draft the cards and then build your deck. I was like, what? I don't even know what I'm
Dude,
doing.
You get like 45 seconds. You look at the cards. If you don't know which one you want to take, you gotta pick one and pass it on.
Oh, it was insane.
Damn.
The Crypto Raiders team likes to drink and talk while we draft. We a
I
lot
don't
of
think
distractions.
so. I can see Ruygye loving sleeping.
I didn't have my son with me, I was able to sleep for once.
Hey,
He
Butter,
abused his only opportunity.
Butter and Bro, congratulations. You got 2,500 Aurum coming to you. Hit me up over on Discord, Lang1y, with the one, or just, message the Crypto Raider channel here on Twitch, and I will get your address. Again, Tyrael, Ruygye, Szerro, Kinan, thank you so much for tuning in. Everyone else, we will see you next time, episode 8, in a couple weeks, all right? Peace out, everybody.
Later.
Peace.